You have to sit down with yourself and really let yourself see and feel everything that you did, even all the the cringy moments, the moments where you feel like you weren't a good person, the moments where you may have hurt somebody, the moments where you feel like you weren't even really acting like yourself, or the qualities or things that you really don't feel like you want to identify with but have happened, because you're carrying that anyway. This isn't something that's just like gone and you're just like, it's just like, no, like you're still carrying that shit. You could, I should say that. You could still be carrying that shit. This is applicable, because I'm not gonna say, oh, you're doing this, but if you are carrying that shit and you've repressed it, or you've kind of actively pushed it away because you don't want to think about it, you don't want to touch it, you don't want to process it, you should process it, because it's going to be uncomfortable, but you can live with the reality of accepting that you did something, taking accountability, but realizing because that happened, because you did it, that does not define who you are, that does not reflect who you are, and that has no dictation on who you are, who you can continue to be, what you can do, what you deserve, all of this. Because at the end of the day, fuck what anyone else thinks. They all disappear. There's no one, nothing, no society, no cultural norms, no cultural expectations, no trends, nothing like that. No gods, no deities, nothing to come and like choose you or save you or judge you or condemn you, No. The one who's going to do all that, make those decisions, that judgment, yourself. It's literally comes down to that. The choice, that judgment, is you. And if there's a lot of shit that you're carrying that you haven't processed, that you may have done, that's secretly playing in the background, and it's basically like influencing kind of like in a very quiet, subtle way, like, oh, you're this kind of person, or oh, you deserve this, or oh, like, yeah, you deserve to like experience pain or punishment, or you deserve to be condemned. Like, oh, like, no, that's not true. Unless you choose it, unless that's genuinely what you want. And that's what you got to ask yourself. What do you want? And then I know it might be probably a common sentiment that, oh, but if I acknowledge that I did these certain things, then that just proves that I really am that bad person, that I'm really worthless, and that I do deserve punishment. I do deserve condemnation. That means I'm a bad person. I have to like own that identity. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't. You don't. You could carry two truths at the same time. You may have done something that hurt somebody, but that doesn't mean that you are that person. It doesn't mean that you're going to continue doing that unless you choose to keep doing things like that, of course. Because ask yourself right now, when you process all these things, it's going to be uncomfortable. But when you're processing them all, sit there and realize, wait a minute, like I'm still here, I still exist. It's so fucking uncomfortable, but I'm still here. I'm in the present. I'm not in the past. And what happened before doesn't dictate what happens now or what will happen. That's a huge thing. That's a huge shift to realize. It's going to be uncomfortable to sit there and really like process everything that happened to you, that other people did to you, but also everything you did as well. But being able to sit there with that, as uncomfortable as it's going to be, because it's probably going to feel like torture, honestly, it's going to be horrific. It's going to be, this is part of like the whole ego death situation as well. That's kind of what it is. But it's a restructuring, a reorganizing, letting go, removing what doesn't belong, and recontextualizing with the truth and accuracy of your own sovereignty, your own ability to choose, your autonomy, because that's what it is, because you're not controlled by past events or situations, whether it was somebody else doing something to you or you did something to somebody else. This is true liberation. This is true healing. This is true restructuring. Okay? It's not going to be pleasant. Like, it's going to be difficult. But the thing is, I know a lot of people push stuff away, like memories and things like that, because they don't want to deal with it, because they're like, well, this doesn't feel like healing because it actually brings up things that hurt. But the thing is, I always say it's like this. It's like you've been shot already with like a poison arrow. And that toxic arrow is in your body. It's deeply embedded in your body anyway. And it's causing so much dysfunction and destabilization and distortions from within. So it's already in there. It's actually already actively causing pain. It's just that you've adapted to that pain, to that suffering, to those distortions, to those lies. And it's almost like you partially basically like fused with those things. But it's not permanent. I'm not saying it's permanent, but I'm saying in order to heal, you have to remove it. And in order to remove it, you have to bring it to your awareness. Once you bring that to awareness, of course, it's going to be painful because you're acknowledging something that's been there, but that you've kind of learned to cope with or adapt and allow for it to just exist there. But it doesn't need to be there. It doesn't need to belong. You know, some people might refer to this as like, you know, like alchemy. Like you have to alchemize it. You have to like transmute it, process it, all this. Like, yes. So you have to basically pull that like poison arrow out. And this is what this process is you sit down and you acknowledge everything that happened to you. Everything. I mean, like good, bad, indifferent, all of it. The horrific shit, like all of it. Everything that happened to you, everything you did to other people. Your actions, your behaviors. And you separate those things. You look at it as data and information, as patterns, because that's what it is. Frequencies are patterns, like a cycle. But they're not permanent. They're not a life sentence. They're not something you have to adhere to or you have to submit to. They don't have any control. They don't have any power or governance unless you choose to make that choice. And I believe most people, due to the whole adaptation thing, learn to hold and carry this shit and to conform and to like just let this shit like settle within them. Let the poison arrow bury itself deeper and deeper within them and holding it and carrying it. But it doesn't need to be there. You could bring something into awareness, understand it, fully comprehend it without needing to fuse with it, without needing to feel like you need to be ruled by it. And I know a lot of people might say like, oh, it's impossible to like fully heal or like to ever get better. Like that's not true. Unless you make it, unless that's your choice. It's not pleasant, but yes, it is a choice. That's the truth. Ignorance really does limit possibilities, unfortunately. And I've said this before that, you know, learning a lot of this information, as I'm still learning, of course, has been such a great privilege, and it really shouldn't be, because all this information should be, it should already automatically be like available. Like we shouldn't have to like go through all this, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm just trying to put this information out there. If it helps somebody and it resonates and, you know, it makes them open their mind and helps them somehow, like great, because I've been helped so much by listening to other people, you know, come to their own realizations, their own revelations, awakenings, and healing, and sharing that. And other people have helped me. And so I feel like it's like helped me immensely. Like, and here's the thing. there, just like I said, there's no judge, no one judges you or condemns you but you. You're the one who will ultimately make that decision. So you need to really look deep and see like what you really think, how you really feel, and what you really believe about yourself. Like really look at that, like it's really deep, because those things playing in the background that have gone unchallenged for so long, those things like dictate so much of your experience and what you're going through. Seriously, it's wild. It's really, it feels, it's just crazy. But anyway, the only one that will heal you, the only one that can heal you is yourself. And you have to choose to do that. And it does take work, and it is difficult. And one of the main things that for me that worked is, you really have to find a way to really like isolate yourself to some extent, and, give yourself a safe space to process all of this and to let yourself just like sit with all of this and move through it. You have to be patient with yourself, and you have to be so compassionate to yourself. That is such a huge thing. You have to be compassionate to yourself, especially when you're looking back at things that maybe you have done, or things that you may have believed like prove like that you're a bad person or whatever. No, it's not true. You need to hold compassion to yourself, because you were doing your best. You only had a certain amount of information or awareness or knowledge about something, and you were probably in a lot of pain already at that point, probably with little to no support or understanding around you, no safety. So you had to like work with what you had. Okay? You recognize that, and you give yourself compassion, and also realize that all those past versions of yourself aren't separate like beings or entities. It's you. This is another huge thing about healing. It's about finding the continuity, seeing the continuity of you, your life, your existence, and realizing that you're not just some separate thing separated by like age or labels or years or decades or whatever. Like, no, you are one continuous being existence. I know there's this common sentiment going out that like, oh, you're not really actually the same person because all your cells change and, everything dies and there's new cells and stuff, but you still carry all those memories. You still exist. Like, yes, you could grow, you can change, but you're also the same as well. That's the truth. You could be anything you want, actually. But finding that continuity and really like recognizing that and owning it, and like coming together with you and like all your past versions, your, the child version of you, like all of it, like realizing that it's just one continuous existence. That is huge. That's powerful. And also realize the adaptations that you learned or you may have used to survive or navigate your life, this existence, those also aren't, they're not the truth. They're not actually you. They were tools for temporary solutions, basically. That's how I see it. Okay? You don't have to be stuck in that. You don't have to be stuck or defined by those adaptations. That's a huge shift too. But yeah.